Alright, welcome back to the NPL Minors Tryouts. This week we have the quarterfinals. I play against Hal Lu, and my opponent has a very threatening team of Tapu Koko, Mega Aggron, Crobat, Donphan, Celebi, Vaporeon, Haxorus, and Mienshao. Tapu Koko and Haxorus can use Z moves, and to be honest, I say he has a threatening team. I mean, very high density of draft league threats, but my matchup is just ridiculously good, I have to say. Just putting it out there, I didn't want to get overconfident about the match just because I had a good matchup though, so we'll take a look at my team either way. The first one on my team, as you can see, is a specially offensive Tapu Koko. I think this is the first time I've brought like fully specially offensive. I just have max speed, max special attack with timid. Well, not timid, but naive actually, because he has two Mons at base 130 speed and Crobat and Tapu Koko of his own. And the reason I'm bringing specially offensive is that he has a Mega Aggron, which eats physical hits. He has a Vaporeon, which does a lot back to me with Wild Charge recoil because of its base. I think it's 130 HP. And I want Dazzling Gleam to do a lot to Haxorus. Dazzling Gleam to do a lot to Mienshao. And I don't need to be physical for U-Turn to be doing a lot to Celebi. So, Special felt like the set I'm bringing this week. I don't know if I mentioned it yet, but I am Life Orb. Second Mon on my team is Celesteela. This Mon beats like half his draft, which is really nice. I'm leftovers. I have a pretty specific spread. I have 248 HP, 108 defense, 108 special defense, and 44 speed. With a impish nature. The reason I have this spread is so that I am speed creeping by a couple points, I believe. I think 3 points. Defensive Vaporeon, and the reason for that is I have just enough Spadef investment to where Scald won't break my sub, so I can actually set up substitutes on it. So my set is Substitute, Leech Seed, Seed Bomb, Heavy Slam. So once I have a Leech Seed up and I'm going for Seed Bombs against Vaporeon, it can't really break my sub, and I stall it out, and he can't really do any damage back to me. So hopefully I can kind of lure Vaporeon with that set, because Vaporeon is his obvious counter to this. Probably will have Scald, Wish, Heal Bell, Protect, some set like that, which beats most Celesteela sets. So I'm hoping to sort of lure Vaporeon with that one. Third Mon is a Spadef Gliscor, Earthquake, Stealth Rock, Roost, and U-Turn. This is mostly here just to get up rocks. I have U-Turn, speed creeping Celebi by a lot. Hopefully I can get up a U-Turn against that one if he's more defensive. This thing is here to take hits from Crobat pretty well. Take hits from Haxorus decently well. I am Spadef, so I'm taking hits less well from that. Another reason I'm Spadef is to deal with Nasty Plot Crobat a little bit better. I actually played a mock battle where someone brought Nasty Plot Crobat and I got destroyed. So that's a reason why I have Spadef as well. And besides, I have enough physical walls on this team, as you'll see in a moment. I can also take Scalds, and I believe I take an Ice Beam from Vaporeon as well, if I'm at full. So hopefully that Mon can put in the work. All I really need to do is get up Stealth Rocks, so that way his Tapu Koko will be weakened a lot when switching in and out, and his Crobat will be weakened a lot as well, because defensive Crobat is also decently good against me. It can deal with Mons, can deal with stuff like Venusaur pretty well, deal with Hydreigon decently well. Fourth Mon on my team is defensive Mega Venusaur. Just 248 HP, 252 defense, 8 special attack with bold nature. I have Energy Ball, Sludge Bomb, Synthesis, Leech Seed. And the reason I have Energy Ball over Giga Drain is so that I can 2-hit KO physically defensive Vaporeon. They're almost always physically defensive because Vaporeon's natural SpDef is just really good, so they don't need to run a lot of SpDef. So with Energy Ball, I'll be able to 2-KO it, and I outspeed it naturally, which is nice. And then Leech Seed is there for a Mega Aggron. HP Fire does like absolutely nothing to it, so there's no real reason to run it. But Leech Seed does let me beat it 1v1. Can just go for Energy Balls and Leech Seeds against it, and Synthesis stall it out. This thing is my main switch into Aggron. Aggron is, like, offensive Aggron is a bit of a threat against my team. Because it does get coverage for Celesteela. It gets Fire Punch, which Adamant Fire Punch does like 70 or... it does a ridiculous amount. Next mon I have is Slowbro. I just have Scald, Signal Beam, Psychic, and Slack Off with leftovers. I have 248 HP, 112 defense, 148 SpDef with a Bold Nature. Scald, Signal Beam, Psychic, and Slack Off. His team doesn't really like taking moves with this coverage very well. Even mons like Celebi, I can just go for Signal Beam against, even if they try to go for a Grass move against me. It won't do that much. This is another mon that deals with Crobat really well, because Crobat is one of the mons with a better match against my team, you know. Speed ties with Tapu Koko. It can, you know, Oko Venusaur if it wants to. Well, probably not my max defense Venusaur. If he's like banded, he can. And, you know, can Revenge Hydreigon, stuff like that. So Slowbro can deal with that decently well. And again, I have some def investment if he wants to bring Nasty Block Crobat, and I can take Giga Drains from Celebi pretty well and just hit it back with Signal Beam really hard. The last one on my team is Black Glasses Hydreigon with 252 special attack, 248 speed, and 8 HP with a modest nature. So the reason I have Black Glasses is my only attacking move is actually Dark Pulse. And the reason my only attacking move is Dark Pulse is that his resistances in Yanxiao and Tapu Koko just Oko me regardless. So it doesn't really matter that I can't hit them super effectively, because one, they won't want to switch in anyway because it's a Hydreigon and it could go for like Flash Cannon predicting Tapu Koko and just deal a ton of damage to it, or it could go for a Draco Meteor just randomly and kill Mienshao. So they're going to be bringing it in after something has already died. So Dark Pulse is going to be my main move to hit things. And also another reason I was Dark Pulse is so that I could run Roost, Taunt, and Toxic. That way I can always switch into a Vaporeon, always switch into most defensive threats. Well, not really threats, but most defensive walls, and just shut them down by toxicking them and then taunting them so that they can't heal or toxic. They can't recover. All they can do is attack me, and Hydreigon's naturally bulky enough to not get 2-KO by most things, or even if I am, I can just Roost all them until they're dead. Which does work pretty well because I'm faster than all of his walls. Like, faster than the vast majority of Celebes. You have to have a lot of speed to outspeed me. In which case, Dark Pulse is doing a lot anyway. So there's the team, and let's see how the battle goes. So before this match starts, I just like to say that Lou is a great player, but this matchup was not great for him at all. So he may not have been bringing his best to this game. I just wanted, well, we'll see how it goes. So once it stops lagging, we'll get into the battle. So I lead Gliscor, he leads Crobat. I'm just trying to get up my rocks, and this lead works out pretty well for me because Crobat can't really do anything to Gliscor. It can like Super Fang if it wants to, but which is a set I'm expecting because Super Fang is its best way to deal with Celesteela. So I'm just gonna go for my rocks as he sends in Vaporeon, or actually I get the slow U-turn, which allows me to just double out in Tapu Koko and deal a lot of damage to something. So he just switches in Donphan as I go for another U-turn. I'm just trying to get momentum in the early stages of the game, just trying to get my rocks up, trying to get some chip damage on his team so Hydreigon can start breaking it. So go down to Venusaur to offensively threaten this thing out. I don't want it to get rocks up against me, so I want to be able to immediately threaten it with an Oko and on a mon that outspeeds it. So Venusaur was the play there, in my opinion. So he goes back into Crobat as I get my Mega Evolution off, and I go for a Sludge Bomb. I was predicting maybe a switch out to Celebi, predicting Giga Drain, or I don't know. I didn't feel like Leech Seed was the play there because it allowed him to get up. If I went for Leech Seed and he went into Celebi predicting Giga Drain, or if he went into even like Vaporeon with a set that could take Giga Drains and stuff like that, I could just go for a Leech Seed next turn and be fine. Also, Sludge Bomb has a chance to poison. But I wanted to see what Crobat set he was anyway, without him just going for U-turn immediately. So I Sludge Bomb there, and I switch out to Slowbro, my dedicated counter to this, as he just goes for U-turn. I see he's Black Sludge, which means he's probably pretty bulky, and U-turn isn't doing a ton, so he's probably not super offensive. He's jolly, probably not adamant. So he goes into Vaporeon. I have my dedicated counter for this Hydreigon, and it goes for a Substitute, which is interesting. Once I see Substitute, normal Vaporeons don't break Substitute, because if you see my team, there's only one Mon that it outspeeds, so Substitute in general doesn't make that much sense against me, so I figured it must be a Baton Pass set. That way, it could Baton Pass subs maybe. So I wanted to taunt it on the Baton Pass if it wanted to do something like that. So I do taunt him, taunt goes to sub, and he tries to set up an Aqua Ring here actually, which is pretty cool on his part in my opinion. Sub Aqua Ring, very annoying set to deal with because you're gaining almost all your health from the sub back. And if I had gone for Dark Pulse there, then he would have had an Aqua Ring that he could pass to maybe a Celebi or something, which would be very annoying to deal with. But I taunt him on the Aqua Ring, so now he's pretty much shut down. Probably only has one offensive move, maybe just Scald, and that's doing nothing to Hydreigon, so he switches out as I just go for Dark Pulse, hoping to break the sub. Tapu Koko takes a lot from that, which I'm totally fine with. And now I can just switch out to Venusaur, trying to get damage on this. We're just trying to not get damage on it, but take whatever move it wanted to go for. Right then it was a Dazzling Gleam, but he also could Volt Switch or something like that, and Venusaur takes that very well too. So I can see his leftovers, which means he's not Flyinium Z Brave Bird, so that means I can take whatever hit he wants to go for, which is totally fine with me, especially seeing the Dazzling Gleam damage. I knew he wasn't fully physically offensive, so I just go for a Leech Seed on the switch. I know Crobat's coming in. I just want to be able to get off as much damage against it as possible, get back to full. I predict him to go for a U-turn here, again, because Brave Bird isn't doing a lot to me anyway, and I have Leech Seed up, and I can just Synth Stall him. So he goes for U-turn. He goes into Mienshao, and see, I just went for Synthesis because it was my safest play, regardless of what move he went for. If he went for Brave Bird, then I could just stall Brave Birds out. He's taking more recoil, and he's taking Leech Seed. He went for U-turn, I could heal the U-turn damage up and have a better matchup against any other Mon except Crobat. So he goes into Mienshao. He goes for a sub, and I go for Sludge Bomb and break it. So I'm kind of confused here. I'm not sure why he would start setting up subs on Venusaur. I realize at this point he's probably just a full Baton Pass team, because sub Mienshao is almost always just trying to pass subs with Baton Pass. So now I realize he's probably just brought full Baton Pass against me, which is, I don't really know what to think about that yet, since I haven't seen a speed passer, and I don't even know if there is one on his team. So Hydreigon will probably be able to deal with all of his, passing targets pretty well, except Tapu Koko. He wants to pass to that. Maybe a couple Calm Minds from Mienshao. Then Venusaur deals with that really well. So seeing that he's brought Baton Pass, I'm a little caught off guard, but that way I know he doesn't have a lot of the threats I was prepping for, so if I play the game to my full potential, it should be an easier win than if he had brought a more standard team against me. So he goes into Crobat yet again on the Venusaur as I just hit it with the Sludge Bomb. He's going for Roost here as I go for Leech Seed. Now he's revealed Roost, and I know this thing's going to be super hard to kill. So now I'm just trying to go for a late game sweep with Tapu Koko, hopefully, because it's hard to kill this Crobat with nearly anything else. So now that I've seen his fourth move, I know that Gliscor is a very good switch into this now. So I just go into that. I get Leech Seed Recovery, and next turn I'll be getting Poison Heal, and now I believe I do get up my rocks, which is what I go for. I fully expect him to Rapid Spin here, so just U-turn. I was going to Venusaur, as he actually goes for Knockoff, which is interesting play. I probably, if I was him, I probably would have tried to get rid of Hazard so that Crobat could wall Venusaur more effectively. But his decision, as he just goes back into Crobat, and I just go for the Sludge Bomb. I just don't want Celebi to come in for free on my Giga Drains and then throw me out with a Psychic, because I don't know how offensive that Celebi may be on a Baton Pass team. You know, could be very offensive and try to be the target for all the baton passing, because it does have very good coverage against my team and outspeeds most of it. So I go for Sludge Bomb. This Crobat's very low. As he goes for Roost, I believe I do click Leech Seed, and I probably go back out to Gliscor here. At this point, I'm just trying to stall out this Crobat, just make his whole team take performance damage. At some point, I'll get in Tapu Koko for free, and I'll be able to kill something. But now I'm just stalling for time. And he goes for U-turn again. Goes back into Vaporeon, and I'll just be able to go back into Hydreigon to counter this. So I just go for U-turn. Back into Hydreigon. He sets up a sub. Now because he knows that I have taunt now, so because I've gone for taunt before, I know he's probably not going to go for a move that gets shut down by taunt. Or even if he does, I would taunt him on the Baton Pass. Like, okay, let's say I Dark Pulse and he goes for Aqua Ring. Then the turn after, I could go for taunt on the Baton Pass and nothing would be lost. If I immediately go for taunt, then he still has the sub up, and I'd still need to break it with 2 Dark Pulses. So this way I just get damage off if he decides to switch out, which, as you see, he did decide to switch out. So Dark Pulse is going to be doing a lot to this Tapu Koko, does a nice 31%, and I still have a full health Venusaur I can switch in. Is very nice. He has sub on this too, so he has sub on almost everything, which is kind of cool. Shoutouts to TCMTL, and shoutouts to 4Johnny too. So now I know, because he has Roost leftovers, he can't really touch my Mega Venusaur, so I can just go for Sludge Bombs against this. So he goes into Crobat again to go for another Sludge Bomb, and again, this thing is just very annoying to deal with. So, well, it's not annoying to deal with. It can't really break my team at all, but I just don't have that much to kill it with. So I go back into Gliscor. But now that rocks are up, it's much easier to deal with. You know, it has to Roost after taking a Sludge Bomb from Venusaur every time, because, you know, it's taking 25% from rocks and like another 20 from Sludge Bomb. So going to Gliscor, takes nothing from Brave Bird because he's, you know, takes nothing from Brave Bird because he's not super offensive, and I just go for Earthquake. If he decided to Roost there, I would have caught him. Otherwise, Earthquake hits the rest of his team pretty well. Can U-turn out against Celebi, and yeah, the rest of the mons just take a lot from it. even like Donphan, I can just go for Earthquake again against it. It can't really kill me with anything. So I'm just gonna... I'll probably go for Roost here because Brave Bird, I was in range of 2 more Brave Birds. So it was a good play on his part going into Mienshao here on my Roost. So I just go back into Venusaur because I know I can wall this. So I've seen sub already, which means he probably is not like super like banded Zen Headbutt or something like that. So he sets up a Calm Mind, so now I know that this thing probably doesn't even have any attacking moves. If it does, it's probably just High Jump Kick. So now, I know he's probably going to switch out or do something like that, so I just attack him. But unfortunately, I do misclick. I don't know, this computer has a really bad trackpad, and when I put my finger on the trackpad to scroll over to the Sludge Bomb button, I was hovering over the Leech Seed button, and I pressed that, so... Unfortunately, I Leech Seed on his sub, even though I knew he was going to sub there, and I wanted to click Sludge Bomb. And that's what happens anyway. He Baton passes out, goes into Celebi, and I'm able to break the sub with Sludge Bomb. Now I just one Celebi, it's in, it's here, it's threatening Zach. So I switch out to Gliscor, hoping to take hits from this. If he's defensive, as you can see he does have Calm Mind, I can outspeed it, go for U-turn and deal a lot to it. If he's offensive, I can probably take any hit from it, because I'm especially defensive, except like maybe an HP Ice, I probably don't live. So, I go out into Gliscor, I'll be able to pivot around this hopefully. As he does go for sub, and my U-turn will be able to break his sub, and I can just go out and Tapu Koko and U-turn again with that. Now that I've seen sub, I know he's probably fast and offensive because he outspent my Gliscor, and you know, he has sub. Probably has Baton Pass on this too. So now I just go for U-turn. Since I know he's offensive, it'll kill. And luckily for me, he does stay in, and I just take him out with it. So that's a big threat to my team gone. Now he doesn't have much coverage for Celesteela left. It's only Tapu Koko really threatening it. He doesn't have super effective coverage for Venusaur like left at all. His only super effective move left on Venusaur is Crobat's Brave Bird, which does like 50 maybe. So Venusaur is looking like a huge threat to him now. As I just go into Venusaur, he goes into my Mienshao for some reason. I don't know why he didn't go Crobat there, but I think at this point he knew that it was going to be really hard for him to break my team. So he goes for a sub, and I'm just going to click Sludge Bomb on this till it dies, because it can't outpace my Sludge Bombs with Calm Minds. And at some point I might get a poison, which is what happens. So he just Baton passes the Calm Mind out into Vaporeon. I go for Seeds because I knew he was going to Baton pass that turn, because he died to another Sludge Bomb, so there's no reason for him to stay in and set up anymore. So I go for Seeds, he goes into Vaporeon, and I'm just able to take that thing out with an Energy Ball. But yeah, Baton passes again, and outspeeds me, which is very surprising. He goes back into his Mienshao Energy Generator. Energy Ball does a lot to it. I gain Leech Seed back, and it's at 7%. So he just Baton passes again. And the cool thing about this is he's taking Leech Seed. He's Baton passing the Leech Seed around, which is kind of funny. So he goes into Tapu Koko, and I'll be able to hit that thing up with a Sludge Bomb, which does a ton to it, and Leech Seed will take it out. So now he just straight up can't kill Celesteela anymore, which is very nice for me. So now it's looking like I'll probably be able to get the 6-0, because, you know, he can't actually touch Celesteela at all. I do some stuff with Gliscor here, it doesn't really matter. Takes a while, I U-turn out, go into Tapu Koko. It's a speed tie. He did end up being jolly max speed, but I don't think he even had a coverage move for Tapu Koko. But I do run the speed tie regardless and take it out with a Thunderbolt. So he just goes out into Donphan. I don't want to risk him being Rendo Berry or Salt Vest, so I just go for U-turn. Go back out into Gliscor on the Earthquake, and I'll just try to kill this thing with 2 EQs as he just sacks off Vaporeon. And now, since I've seen Mienshao doesn't have any attacking moves and Donphan is in range of 2 EQs, I can just win this game with Gliscor. So, good game to Howlu. I know this isn't super representative of him at his best, but he needed, with his matchup, I respect the decision that he needed to bring gimmicks in order to beat me, which is props to him for that, because I probably wouldn't have the courage to bring something so crazy to a high stakes league match. So my opponent's link will be in the description. Go check him out. And now we're in the semifinals. We're in the final 4, which means it's looking more and more likely that we're going to make NPL Minors, which is really cool. And so, GG to Lou, and I will see you guys in our next match. We play against David or Magic, who has another very threatening team. So, and he's also 6-0. No, 5-0, I believe, which is ridiculous in this league which has a bunch of really high caliber players. It's ridiculous that this guy is 5-0. He beat Uzi, the Uzi Gunner, who's really good. So we'll see how we'll fare against him next time. So, alright, see you guys.